Question number 16. How is rent collected? What forms of payment do you accept? As a professional third-party property manager, we set the tenants up with an online portal where they can actually link it to their checking account and pay their rent online. However, we also take personal check, cashier's check, and money order. We do not take cash and we do not take credit card. If they pay in person, we will supply them with a receipt at their request. If they pay online, it automatically gets logged into their tenant ledger online, so they can see when the payment was made. For our system, when we input the payment into the tenant ledger as well, they can see that from their online portal, even if they don't pay through the online portal. The other benefit to the online portal, for us at least, is it allows the tenants to submit maintenance requests online and be able to track those maintenance requests. So not only do they have that 24/7 maintenance contact center, they also have the ability to do it online in writing and attach photos and then see the process of that maintenance work order throughout the entire stage. Question number 17. How frequently is your lease updated and what is the standard term of your lease? As I mentioned, our lease is updated on at least an annual basis. We use the most current CAA lease and their addendums, and then we have a real estate attorney review our other addendums, our Advent Properties specific addendums, on an annual basis to make sure that they stay in line with current local, state, and federal laws. For those leases that are already ongoing, we will send updates of addenda to those tenants where we need to make them. For instance, last year it was a bed bug disclosure. This year it's the AB 1482 exemption disclosure for those properties that are exempt from the AB 1482. Our newest lease actually has that disclosure for AB 1482 built directly into it. So we don't have to do that for any of our new leases. That's only for the older leases that were already in place. Now remember, you cannot make material changes to a lease, but you can send updated addenda as necessary for local, state, and federal law. And you can do that even without the tenants signing if you do a 30-day proof of service notice. And it should actually be 35 days, give 5 days for the mailing. Question number 18. Do you renew leases annually? What are the benefits of a month-to-month lease? I typically do not advise landlords to renew a fixed term lease beyond that first year. There's very little benefit to a landlord to have a fixed term lease beyond that first year. Leases under the CAA lease automatically go month to month at the expiration of that fixed term. That allows you more leeway as an owner to make changes as necessary that are allowed by law, by serving notice or by getting a signature from the tenants. There are a few cases where we will renew a lease, but again, under current situation, especially with COVID, you don't necessarily want to lock someone into a one-year lease if you don't have to. This is done case by case. If you have specific questions, I'll provide my email and phone number at the very end. You can ask me those very specific details on this. Question number 19. What happens if I decide to sell my property? Do I have to sell it through you? This is an important question to ask your property manager because every property manager will probably have a different question. Now, on the backside, there's things to think about. Under the current just cause ordinances in most cities, as well as under AB 1482, selling your property is not a reason you can ask the tenants to leave. There's a couple ways you can work around this. One is you sell it tenant occupied. This requires you to work with the tenants for the showings, for the photos, and when you sell the property, their lease actually transfers with the property and their rent now transfers to that new owner. I do this all the time, so it's pretty common here in the Bay Area. You could potentially negotiate a buyout agreement before you sell the property with the tenants, where the tenants vacate and you pay them to leave. If this is something you're interested in, talk to me or talk to an attorney familiar with local real estate law. So you do everything by the books. Each city, each jurisdiction has specific requirements for documentation that must be served to this tenant, to the city, and they may even mandate levels of payments to buy a tenant out. The second question there is, do I have to sell the property through you? The answer is no. You can sell the property through whomever you like. However, there may be caveats for each property management firm. For instance, one of the stipulations in my management agreement is that if you sell a property through an outside brokerage, we will not continue to manage the property. And the reasoning behind this is it makes it very difficult to manage when someone else is telling and promising tenants different things during that sales process. If I sell the property for you, or if one of the other property management firms sells your property for you, they will typically continue to manage the property for you during that entire sales process. The benefit to having a property manager sell your property, one, they know the property. They know the maintenance, they know the tenants. They can actually usually get access to the property better than some other broker coming in off the street, because the tenants, we're a known entity to the tenants and they know and trust us as their property manager and now as the real estate agent. But again, this is a case-by-case basis. If you have specific questions on this, feel free to talk to me later. Question number 20. Are you familiar with local rent and eviction control laws? What experience do you have? This is critical, especially in the Bay Area. More and more cities are updating or adding rent control and eviction control laws to their jurisdiction. And they vary from city to city. Hayward's rules are not the same as San Leandro's rules, which are not the same as Oakland's rules, which are not the same as Berkeley rules. So we as property managers constantly attend training and seminars through the local associations, through real estate attorneys, through the Association of Realtors to stay up to date with what the local rules and regulations are for each city. We want to make sure that we're protecting and promoting you as your professional property manager and real estate agent.